Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another edition of Mannimal Research. Um, Thank everyone for stopping by, and those of you that are watching it now, and those of you that might watch it later, we appreciate it. Certainly do. I am joined, as always, by my partner and Mannimal Research lead investigator, Mr. Rick Weaver. How you doing tonight, Rick?
Oh, doing good, Wayne. You?
I'm doing good, buddy. Doing good. We finally got a chance to get out this past weekend, didn't we?
Oh yeah. Had a few things happen, and I was really enthused by what we did have happen, and I'm looking forward to being able to go down this coming Sunday and check out a new spot down at the lower end of the county that we're looking at, and we've got some good reports off of it. So I'm hoping that something real good comes out of that.
Yeah, that's right. You gave me a brief rundown of that, where we're not going to give any of it away because sounds like that's going to be a pretty exciting area. Um, for those of you that are in our Facebook group, Manimal Research, and for those of you that aren't, shame on you. What are you waiting on? Go over to Facebook and look up Manimal Research and click that join button. But I have this week I've been posting some pictures of what went on, and I am very happy to say that all this time, all these years that I've been a Bigfoot believer, and the time that I've been investigating, it finally happened. Believe we had a sighting this past. It was actually early Sunday morning. I believe we got pictures of two individuals on thermal. I got those up on Manimal Research. It was exciting, to say the least. Ain't that right, Rick?
Oh yeah, very exciting. Sure was.
And people always say, or I've heard a lot of people say that these things mess with your equipment somehow, and I've never really believed it, and I still don't know if I do believe it because it was in the low 30s that night. It was cold, but my FLIR kept messing up. Excuse me, my FLIR kept messing up. One of our walls told us that it was probably due to the cold weather. Cold weather could be draining the battery, but I couldn't keep that thing charged for more than at first when the problem started happening. 15 minutes was the most I would get out of it. Then it came down to 12. Then it came down to 10. Then I was lucky if I could get 5 out of it. And then when we actually had the sightings of the two subjects, I couldn't get it to record at all. Every time I would switch over to the video mode, I would click on, start the video, start recording, and it would kick me completely out of the app. And, then I would freak out and try to get back in there, hoping they hadn't left yet. But I tried like 3 times and I could not get these things on video. I don't know what it was. And like I said, the time that we were interacting with them, the life of the battery just dropped considerably. And I keep having to go to the truck and put it back on the charger and everything. But I think we got some pretty good thermal images. What do you think, Rick?
Oh yeah. I think we got some pretty good thermal, and yes, you mentioned that. I even had problems with my digital camera while Todd and I were out in the woods Saturday evening. I had found some tracks that went up from an old creek bed up beside this small bluff, and I was trying to take pictures and do some recording with the camera that I had, and it just kept the batteries just kept draining out on it. Well, when I got back to camp, I got to checking it. I did get a couple of pictures that I'm going to post to the Facebook page here in a few minutes. But uh,
Hey, Rick.
yes,
Hey, but if you could you move just a little bit? Your face is hidden by your name, just a little bit. Other way, other way. Could you come the other way a little bit? There you go. There you go.
all right. How's that?
Wanted everybody to see your pretty face.
Oh, okay. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, when you and Todd went out, you had thought you had found some prints, right? Did you get pictures of those?
Yeah, I got some. That's what I said. I'm going to post those to our Facebook page here in just a little bit. Uh, but I kept having trouble with the digital camera that I had. It's a camera and recorder both, and uh, like I say, the battery kept draining on it. But then after I got back to camp that evening, I got to checking it, and it was fully charged. Uh, Last night we downloaded pictures on the computer. Battery's fully charged then. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
it's definitely weird. It is weird. We got some good audio while we were out there. I haven't had a chance to go through all of it. Rick, I don't know if you've had a chance to go through all of yours, but something that did surprise us was we at a point earlier in the evening, we thought that we were picking something up behind one of the tents was putting off a heat signature, and to be honest, I still don't know what that was. I'm not confident enough to say that it was a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, but something back there was putting off a signature. And me, you, and Walls were looking through the thermal at it, trying to figure out what it was. And I guess we were so wrapped up in what we were looking at, trying to figure it out. And Todd was actually in the frame a little bit. He was working on the fire, so we had him on camera too a little bit. So we know it wasn't him. But about 12 seconds into that video, we got a really, really good tree knock. And while it was actually happening and we were filming, we were so wrapped up in what we were looking at, we didn't even hear it. We noticed it later. We watched that video back, and I think it was Walls that said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, back that up." And we kept playing it over and over again. At the 12-second mark, there's a really, really good loud tree knock. And the three of us were standing there together, and Todd was dealing with the fire. He was on camera dealing with the fire. And so it wasn't any of us, doing a tree knock. So, and there wasn't anyone near us. So I don't know what else it could be. I'm going to be posting that video to the site here before long. But yeah, all in all, it was a great trip. Best one I've ever been on by far. I mean, I was stoked. I mean, I can't believe. I'm confident in saying now that I am a knower and not a believer anymore, because I really believe that. I mean, because when we were watching these things, they were moving. They were moving quite a bit. The smaller image was moving quite a bit, and the one that was standing up vertical, you get a whole shot of his body, and at times he was swaying just a little bit, and this was happening right in front of our eyes, about 50 yards from our camp. And we never heard anything, never smelt anything. I don't know, but there was something there putting off heat, and we have pictures of that. Anybody wants to check those out, I guess you're going to have to go and join our group, Mannimal Research, on Facebook. There it is.
Right, and Wayne, I'd like to reiterate that we do have our web page up and going now, so the folks can go to ManimalResearch.com and check us out. Check out what we're all about. I'm sure we're going to be posting some pics to that later on, so it'll be there for the folks to see, and I hope you really enjoy it.
Yeah, we at Mannimal Research are very, very happy and proud to announce that our website is now public. It's been launched. Anyone can go and see it. It's there. Got at the bottom there, ManimalResearch.com. Tells a little bit about the group, and if you've watched our past episodes, we encourage people to send in their encounters so that we can maybe get you on the show and you can talk to all of us about it, and tell us a little bit about the kind of behavior that you witnessed. And it's just been too much trouble. We've been given 3 emails, and that's just too much. Now it can all be done from this website, ManimalResearch.com. Yeah, go there. There's a whole page dedicated to your encounters. Click on it and fill out. You can contact either Rick, myself, or Walls. Send an email to any of us, or you can fill out fill out your information on a little ticket there, and it'll go straight to our email, and we'll contact you with it. And again, if you don't want your name out there, it doesn't have to be. We will practice complete anonymity. Yeah, but guys, go check out our website. We're proud of it. Rick, you got anything else, buddy?
No. Let's bring our guest on and find out what he's got going on.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. I think we will. Tonight, we are very happy and proud to be bringing on our special guest, Mr. Ricki Burrell. Rick is a truck driver. He's had a few sightings while on the road. He's here to tell us about that. And Ricki also does some investigations. He does some research, and he also runs a group on Facebook. Right there, the Bigfoot Interactions group. So if you guys are interested in going over and joining that, he's always got some interesting stuff on there. Really good guy. Ricky and I have been talking quite a bit over the last month or so, and he's shared a lot with me, and we got some pictures on here to show from his research. But with all of that being said, very, very happy to welcome Mr. Ricki Burrell to the show. Ricky, how's it going, buddy?
How's it going? Not bad. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, yes sir. It is a pleasure. Like I said, you and I have been we become buddies a little bit. We talk pretty regular, and we share our research with each other. And you have sent me some pretty interesting pictures. I can honestly say you sent me a structure that I've never seen anything like it before.
A lot of people haven't.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm going to be showing it here in a little bit. But first off, I wanted to ask you, what got you interested in Bigfoot? And before your first interaction with them, were you always interested? Were you always a believer? And just what kind of led to that?
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I seen the Bigfoot clips, from the Patterson '68 film. It got me interested in it. I always wondered if they were actually out there. Didn't really become a true believer until I had one walk in front of my truck.
Okay, yeah, tell us about that.
Well, it was late at night. I couldn't remember exactly what time of night it was. It was dark out. I was sitting in a rest area, taking a 30-minute break, and I was doing some paperwork, and I just happened to look up and seen this thing walking out from behind the rest area, and it stood over the gazebo. All I could catch was a shadow of it because the light was hitting it from the back. And I sat there and watched it, and it just walked right out into the woods. Later, I found out they will come into the rest areas and go through the garbage cans looking for food.
Where were you at when this happened?
That was actually in Arkansas, out there on I-40, almost. It was probably about 50, 60 miles outside of Little Rock.
Okay, was it a heavily forested type area, or?
It had some pretty good surrounding woods around it, yeah. Then on the other side of those woods, they had a riverbank, and they tend to like to travel the rivers. Animals come down to get something to drink. They just pick them up from right there.
No, yeah, absolutely. So when was that? When was that encounter?
That was about 8-10 years ago.
Oh,
that
wow.
happened. Yeah.
And how far were you from the creature?
Sorry.
It's okay.
About 50, 60 feet.
Okay.
I was out in the parking lot, and it was walking out from behind the building.
Was this a nighttime or a daytime encounter?
Nighttime. It was like 11, maybe midnight.
but you're sure what you were looking at.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the gazebo, and I've stood next to that gazebo, and I'm 6 foot tall, and that thing towers over me, and this thing was standing up at the top of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
at the peak of it, and I barely come up to the bottom of the awning of it.
Wow.
So yeah, it is pretty good sized.
Big boy.
Probably
Big boy.
about maybe 8 9 foot tall is what I was seeing walking in front of me. You know,
That's a, that's a
at
big
first
boy.
I thought I was going crazy, and I was like, and thinking, well, that's a big person, tall, because all I could see was a shadow. Well, I was waiting to see what vehicle they went to because I was in a line of semis and it was heading towards that direction. Then it all of a sudden just veered off and started walking towards the woods and disappeared from there. Just walked right into the woods.
Wow. Now, did you tell anybody about this encounter?
I didn't tell anybody for a long time because I didn't really believe it myself at first. I had to come to grips with it before I told anybody.
I understand. I understand. Now, from that one until your next one, how much time had elapsed?
Let's see here. Probably about 3 4 years. Um, I was coming up from Beaumont, Texas, and I always take the same route. I come out and I go across 287 into Corsicana to get back on Interstate 45. And one just stepped out of the woods, looked at me, and stepped right back in. I mean, and people go, "Well, why didn't you get a picture?" Well, you're not prepared for that stuff. It's like a split-second sighting. They just out and in. That's it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah. I've never understood that thinking. Uh, people that don't tend to not believe you, that's always their go-to. Why didn't you get a picture? I mean, you're seeing
Yeah.
something that you've been told by so many people doesn't exist,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and then you're seeing it for the first time or for the second time, and you're shocked, and your first thought is not to grab a camera or a phone.
Well, mine actually was. It's just I went to reach for the camera. About the time I went to reach for the camera, it ducked back in.
Really.
So I was just like, really? I mean, just a few seconds longer, I would have had a picture of you, dude.
Hmm. And um, so that was where again? Tell me.
It was actually just outside of Corsicana, about 30, 45, I'd say about 40 miles, 50 miles east of Corsicana on 287.
Okay, how
I actually
far?
has I actually have some researchers down there. I had told them about that area, so now they're really watching that area.
Oh, that's
They've
good.
heard about some sightings there now that they had another researcher, investigator, confirm that they're in the area. They're out there scouring the area now.
Wow, good deal. Good deal. How far away were you from that one?
And I was about an eighth mile away. I mean, people said, "Well, how'd you not know it was somebody in a gorilla costume?" I was like, "Well, you can really look at the size of a person from a distance and tell if they're really tall or my height." This thing was really tall, and it was broad. It was just jet black. I could tell it had the conical head.
Hmm.
You know, I couldn't see a face because I was just too far away, but I could see it.
Okay. Yeah, Rick, if you got anything for Ricky, jump in here, buddy. Anytime. If not, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah, I will.
Okay. Okay. So coming up on your third encounter, how much time lapsed between it?
I think that one was about a year or two. I was down in Florida delivering mattresses down there, and I'd cut through the national forest down there. I think it's like Highway 41 or 42, and I was driving down the road, and again, wasn't expecting it. Um, I look over off to the side, and there it is, walking out in the woods. And this one I got a better look at. It was a little bit lighter out, and I could see it walking. It looked more like a tall chimpanzee.
Really?
All right,
Yeah.
Ricky, what was your difference in those sightings as far as the creature itself and you being able to distinguish some of the characteristics of it? Was there any difference in the ones you saw in Arkansas and Texas compared to the one you saw in Florida?
Well, see, in Arkansas, all I caught was a silhouette, so I didn't get a lot of, you know, I didn't get a good look at it. I just seen a silhouette of it. There wasn't, I couldn't get any details off of it. I just knew it was really tall. I mean,
Right.
you know, when it's at the top of the peak of the gazebo, and I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm just barely coming up to the bottom of the awning of it. You know that's not human because that was about maybe 3-4 feet above me. It was the top of that peak.
So we're looking at what,
Uh,
9, 10 foot tall.
well, about 8-9 foot. Yeah, yeah. The tallest I've actually seen was about, well, not seen, but found footprints of was about 10 foot, 10.5 foot.
Yeah, good
But
deal.
on the other one, and again, you know, I could see its stature. I could tell it had the conical head. It was a little bit lighter out, so I could see a little bit more detail. You know, it had a broad chest. Uh, it had you see some of them, they'll have like the sloped shoulders. It's like they don't even have a neck. They're just pure muscle. You're looking at that, and this thing was broad, and it just turned and walked back in before I get any other details on it.
Okay. Okay. Now, I guess all of those actual visuals happening led you to start your research.
Actually, no, that's not what actually got me started in it. A buddy of mine, uh, I won't disclose this location. It's in Oklahoma, where he goes hunting. He actually seen one standing up on a ridge.
Hmm.
That's what got me into it. I mean, full force. I went out there with him. He went and showed me where it was standing. Now, he wouldn't say it was a Bigfoot because he seen it from behind, but he said it. He knew it wasn't a bear, a black bear, because there wasn't any bear. He'd been hunting there for 15 years, and there've never been any bear sightings ever. He's never even seen one. But he said it had the big, broad shoulders. It stood upright. You know, and if a bear stands upright, it has no shoulders. It slopes straight down, and then you see its ears sitting up like this. So, and you don't see Bigfoot's ears.
Yeah.
They're on the sides like humans are.
Yeah.
But yeah, he tried to flank it to get a better look at it, and it was gone by the time he got to it. He's going to try to get around and get in front of it so he could see its face, but it was already gone by the time he got up there.
That's a brave
But I
man.
went out there. Yeah, he's about the bravest man I've ever met. He actually had another encounter I'll tell you about here in a little bit. That actually happened before the sighting. Um, I went out there and, he showed me the area and I was looking for evidence, anything, footprints, anything that would lead. I kind of got a little disappointed. All I found was a little twig broken, which a deer could do.
Yeah.
But so he said, well, let's go over here to this, where I go hunting at, where I've been hunting before. So we drive up to the area and I park my pickup and we walk off into the woods. As we're walking into the woods, something was walking the other direction, heading out of the woods, just stomping along, just breaking branches. And these weren't small branches, these were huge. You could hear it just breaking. And we go on a little bit further. He said, it's after hunting season. The deer aren't scared of us anymore. Well, I've been in the woods, after hunting season. You can hear them. You can see them running across there. You barely even hear them running across through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time I miss them. And he's like, "Did you see that? Did you see that one just run past you?" No, I was paying attention. I was looking at these footprints right here in front of me. I didn't even see that thing go by me. But this thing was, whatever it was pretty heavy. I mean, we're talking way over my weight. I could stomp as much as I want and not make the sounds it was making. But so we started coming back out. It started getting dark out, and he had to use his night vision monocle so we could find our way back out of there. And we come up and we're sitting alongside my pickup and sitting there smoking a cigarette, talking, and I just happened to look down and there's a footprint right next to my pickup, which wasn't there when we went into the woods. And you actually have that picture. It's the one in the gravel, and it has my foot and his foot next to it.
Okay,
And it just looks like a little. It just looks like a little dirt right there, but it's actually a footprint. You can zoom in on it, and you can actually see the footprint. And that one was about 18 inches long. So that one was right at 9 foot. And in that same area, several months later, I found a 15-inch footprint by a watering hole, which I don't think I sent you that picture.
Okay, now most of your research has been taking place in Oklahoma, right?
Oh yeah, all my there's only been only other place I've actually really done research is out there in Illinois, just over the river from Paducah, Kentucky. I'd happened to stop there at a rest area for the night on I-24, and I was like, hey, let's go look. I hear about stuff out here. That's where I found the 21-inch footprint.
Wow, 21 inches.
Yeah, and I've also sent that one to you too. It's got a tape measure by it. But that's the next week they sent me through there again, and I stopped at the same rest area and spent the night there. And I actually walked out into the woods. I was just along the wood lines to see what I could see. I actually walked out into the woods and had my flashlight. I didn't have my phone with me or anything. I just had my flashlight, and I wasn't expecting to see anything. They don't tend to stick around when humans come too close. But I'm standing there, and I'm shining my flashlight down in the creek bed and everything. Next thing I know, I have these two big old eyes looking right back at me. And they were glowing. Instead of them being red, though, it kind of threw me off. I wasn't sure what I was looking at. They were silver. They were like a silverish white. And they were just looking right back at me. And I knew I was looking at something because they'd close its eyes and, blink every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sitting here mesmerized by this. I'm sitting here watching it. And next thing I know, it just starts back and forth. Well, that's a sign that they're getting annoyed at you. They're getting irritated with you. Well, while I was sitting there watching him do all this, I started hearing something trying to flank me in the woods. It was coming around behind me. So I decided, it's time for me to go.
Mm-hmm.
But down in that creek bed, I was up pretty high, and it was sitting eye level with me. So that was that 10-footer I was talking that I had the footprint of. I wish I would have got the picture of the eye shine looking back at me. That was actually, I would have wish I'd had my phone and got video of that, because that was actually pretty awesome. I'd never seen that before that day. Well, yeah, actually I had, but it was red eye shine out in my other area. But, I never had it sit there and stare at me that long. The other one just looked at me and it started walking off. It was pitch black out. And another thing, I was shining my light off in the woods, and I was pretty good distance, so it wouldn't light up whatever was there, but it caught the eyes. And it just looked over its shoulder at me as it went back into the woods.
Okay. Now, I talked a little bit about that structure that you found that I had never seen before. I'm going to pop that up right now and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that just appeared one day. I've been watching this area for about 6 months, a year, and it just showed up one week. Don't know. I mean, it was built from 1 week to the next. And the thing is every time I go out there, something changes on it. It's different every time. It's either has something added, something taken out. It's different every time I go out there. So I always catalog the changes in it.
Now, how far from civilization is this structure?
That's actually right down in Oklahoma City. It's
Really?
at a wildlife refuge in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
A wildlife refuge. Okay.
Yeah, and there's no hunting permitted out there. And this looks like a hunting blind that some people say over in Virginia they've seen those hunters do it. Well, I'm sorry, a Squatch is a lot taller than that. That thing had to be quite a bit higher so it wouldn't be seen.
Yeah.
That thing barely comes up to my waist. It's still pretty good size. I haven't figured out what it's for yet, though.
Rick, you ever seen anything like that?
Not quite like that. I haven't. I've run across quite a few different structures, different TPs, a few things that I presume to be nests, but never nothing quite like this. No.
Yeah, that's actually pretty long too. The width of it's about 8 foot wide, about 10, and it's right about 16 to 20 feet long.
Wow.
Is there any opening going into this, or is
No.
it just a solid structure?
It's a solid structure. On the back side there, as you're looking at the picture, off to the right to the back corner, it looked like they put like a little ramp up into it of just branches. But the last time I was out there, I didn't note it, but I actually had it in one of my live videos showing it. They had actually just tore that out, got rid of it. It was all just laying on the ground. It's like they didn't want anybody in there, and if that ramp isn't there, they don't think they can get in there. Well, I'm 6 foot tall. I just easily climb over it. I've actually been inside this thing just to look around, see if I can find footprints. I actually did find one footprint. I couldn't tell how long it was, though. I didn't have my tape measure with me at the time.
Now, what is that in the center of it?
It's actually a piece of concrete. It has a pole sticking out of it. And I don't know if this is the most recent picture of it, but it had a pole sticking out of it. Last time I was there, they had flipped it upside downwards and shoved the pole down into the ground. And it looks like that now. And it's just sitting there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've actually shown that
That's
picture to a researcher friend of mine out there in Arizona, old Carl Supp. I hope you don't mind me using your name there, Carl. But he'd never seen anything like it before, but he knew it wasn't man-made. Man-made, usually they'll cut the wood. This is all just broken wood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He could tell it wasn't man-made, so.
That goes back to 90% of the structures that you find, nest, whatever. You can actually tell if something's human-made or if something has actually been put there by a Sasquatch because of the tree break.
Yeah,
everything that I have found over the years.
Yeah, I actually get a lot of pictures people send me, and I'll debunk it. You can see the saw marks. Somebody's actually put that together and claimed it was a Bigfoot structure. You can see where the wood's been cut, and it's been put like that. Which is kind of, for what we do, it kind of discredits what we do because they're out there faking it. Where we're actually out there finding stuff now. When we find stuff, nobody believes us because everybody's out there faking the stuff.
Yeah. Hoaxes have set the Bigfoot world back so far.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to be taken seriously when I can't stand somebody hoaxing something. I can't.
Oh yeah. I'm the same way, and yeah, I'll just call them right out on it. That's man-made. That isn't. If you didn't do it, somebody did it.
As researchers, that's all we can do is call somebody out when we find something like that. I have had a lot of people, tell me, look, Sasquatch made this, Sasquatch made that, and just like you say, Ricky, you can look at it and you can tell where it's either been chopped with a hatchet, axe, whatever, sawed off, and placed there. And everything, that Sasquatch does, this stuff is actually broken. I mean, you've got limbs that are 10, 12 inches in diameter that's been snapped like twigs and then placed in areas. And, nothing that a common man could do.
Yeah, I'd like to see the man that could do that, because his arms are like about the size of my legs,
That's right.
and
Now,
maybe even bigger.
where'd you find this print at, Ricky?
That's actually not too far from that structure. It's about maybe, I'd say about 100 yards from that structure you just posted. That's
What
a
would you say the
15-inch
depth is on
footprint.
that, Rick?
The width,
No, the depth.
the depth, that was actually but down probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches deep. So it was pretty heavy that put that there.
Right.
Yeah, I pushed in on the ground with my foot. That's my foot you see right there. I wear a size 11. I actually measured that. That's a 15-inch footprint right there. You can see from my size 11 to that 15 how wide it is. Even the hill's wider. My foot looks like a little kid's foot compared to it. I have a friend that wears size 15, and his foot isn't nowhere near that wide.
Wow. Yeah.
And you also can see at the very top, you can see the toe imprints too. So,
Where'd you find this one?
These are all the same area. It was actually quite a bit further into the woods. Me and a friend of mine were out there. It was a research partner that I have. She came out there with me with her husband, and we're just walking through the woods and run across that. I actually have a picture of me standing in front of it to show how big that thing actually is. We measured it from the very top to the ground. It was 14 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's another structure that at first I mistaken it for like overgrowth because it kind of looks like it. But when you get up on it, I'm actually standing in front of the entrance to it. You can look inside there, and it's all hollowed out inside of it. And it's got like leaves and bedding all in there.
Is it that one?
No, it's a different structure.
Okay, what's up with that one?
That one I found not too long ago, just last year. I was out there doing videos, and that one popped up on me. I've been in that area a few times, and that one's pretty recent. It's just like the other one. That one's actually kind of more like a lean-to structure. It just covers over so much, but you can go inside of it and sit down. Also, another one that had a lot of leaves, bedding. You could see something that had been laying in there. And there's the picture of it from the front, that one structure. You can see how tall it is compared to me. That's me right there in front of it. And that's
to give our viewers a general idea, how far would you say from the main road where you go in back to where you found these structures at? What type of distance are you looking at back in the woods?
Well, that one right there was about half a mile in from the parking area that I park at. The other structure is more than a quarter of a mile in. They're staying right up there close to the parking lots. I actually have gone further into the woods. I've traveled about 2.5 miles into there. I found way more pictures. I would have sent you everything I had. I mean, I found about 30, 40 more structures out there in that area.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually have an hour-long video of just going through the woods, and it starts out at that first picture that you showed up, and I'm just walking through the woods, and you just seeing all these structures that I'm walking into areas I've never been, and I'm seeing tons more. I'm finding stuff like this picture right here. I found one exactly like that, but not nearly as tall. It was like built for like a juvenile, maybe 2-3 foot tall, but it looked exactly like that. And it was further into the woods, about 2 miles. This one actually kind of caught my interest right here. It's not really a structure, but something had stacked wood up in the trees neatly. You can see how, it's kind of just neatly stacked up in the tree lines.
Yeah, I mean
That one,
that
and
doesn't look normal at all.
yeah, and that's another one that it was way up there in the air. That was about 10 foot up, so you can pretty much gather that human, unless they have a ladder, is not going to do that. That'd be a really elaborate hoax right there, and it was just neatly stacked up there.
What
And
What is your thoughts on the meaning of these structures?
A lot of them looked like this one. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I wouldn't understand why they'd put that up there. But the other ones are just the other structures, except for the one that I'm standing in front of. That's about 14 foot, and that one that rectangular one. I'm not really sure what those are for. I'm almost thinking that the 14 foot might be a hunting blind. It's sure, it doesn't offer any protection. Just maybe to hide. Yeah, but it also had another uh, bedding of leaves in there, and you could see where something had been laying in it. The other structures are just, um, they really look just like places for them to hide, get out of the rain, get out of the weather. Um, they all look like a bunch of overgrowth, but when you get right up on them, I mistake that for a lot for it. So I'll go right up to it and take a good look, and it's all hollowed out inside. So if it is overgrowth, they put it to good use. They hollowed it out. It's got bedding in there. You can see where stuff's been laying inside of it.
now, what about this print, Ricky?
That was they're all. This one here is also from the same area. It's by the riverbed. I think I'm at that river's the Canadian River where they've been spotted a lot at all the way through Oklahoma. There's been a lot of sightings at off the Canadian River, but this was actually coming out of the water, and I took a picture of it because it's kind of weird. I never seen anything four-toed, and I just captured that picture, and I was like, okay, that's just strange. I've never seen a four-toed one. It's always been five. I actually have another one, a paw print, and that's about the size of my fist. That was three-toed.
Well,
Really?
I have talked to a lot of researchers over the years, and they tell me that where you run into the deal with four-toed, three-toed, whatever, if they say that it's a sign of maybe interbreeding within the clans of these things. What's your thoughts on that, Rick?
Well, that could probably be possible. I haven't really got it into that depth of research there. The three-toed actually looked like a paw print, so it could have been, you could name what it could be, a big dog that only has three toes, but it was just odd. It's just one footprint, and that was it. This one here, that was the same way. It just only one footprint. That's all I found, just coming out of the water, and that was it.
Yeah, and I'd heard before, somewhere before, that when you see a four-toed print, sometimes it could be that they just didn't put that pinky toe down.
Well,
they
actually,
didn't.
if you look at that one, it's actually only four toes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see the side of the
that's what
foot.
I was looking at because it looks even. That fourth toe looks even with the side of the foot.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't imagine that would be the case. But yeah, that I'd heard that before that they just aren't always putting that pinky toe down, but they don't look like that would be the case there.
yeah. That one just kind of stumped me right there. And it's really soft ground, so I wouldn't understand why they wouldn't put their pinky toe down. It's very soft, uh, comfortable ground, so there would be no reason. I could see rough ground, them trying to protect their toes, but there it's just you come right out of the water and it's just soft ground. I even sink down right there, and that one's about a half an inch to about an inch deep.
How long was it?
I didn't measure that one, but to take a guess, it was about 10, 11 inches long.
What a lot of people don't realize on those tracks like that, especially where they're coming out of water and you're going back up onto solid ground, is the stride that these things actually have. We as humans, we think of things as being, 2 to 3 foot stride, these things, I've encountered some of them with hides that, measure out 5 foot strides on them. So, you have to take that into account too.
Oh yeah. I know the first footprints I ever got photographs of. I actually found the left foot to that one. I usually just find a right foot, but the stride on it was I actually had to stretch to meet the stride. It was pretty far apart. And, I had a little '05 Colorado at the time, little Z71, and it was where I found the footprint to where the other footprint was. It was at the front. The one footprint was at the front of my bed. The other one was behind the bumper of my pickup. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a pretty good stride on that one.
Why? How
That's
would you like
about
to run
5
into,
foot.
buddy?
What's that?
I said, how would you like to run into that one?
I'm pretty sure I did out in the woods because that's the one that was walking through the woods that come out and went around my pickup. So I was hearing that one coming through the woods as I was going in the woods. It was coming out. And see I think what happened is when we were down in the one area where he was showing me where where he had seen the Squatch standing up on the ridge. As we were coming back, I kept hearing something smaller walk through the woods. He goes, "Oh, it's a deer." Well, it was bipedal. It was not a deer. I was paying attention to it, and every time I stopped, it would stop with me. It's like when I start walking, it would start walking, just kind of mirroring me. Well, I think that one was actually going back towards that area because that's the direction it was heading. It was heading back down the road to that area. It probably had a juvenile sitting down there. And that's the reason why it was stomping and breaking stuff coming out. Is trying to scare us off because its juvenile its offspring was down there and it's afraid we're going to go after it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, Ricki, tell us a little bit about your group on Facebook and what you were hoping to get out of it, and your long-term plans for your research.
Yeah, that's my Bigfoot interaction group. I post all my videos, any pictures I put on there, and uh, you know, uh, I welcome any other researcher, investigator to post what they have, talk a little bit about it, and you'll see sometimes I'll interact with them and ask them questions about it. Where'd you find this? It just basically I like to have all the researchers in there. I like other people come in and see what we find.
Mm-hmm.
We do find a lot of stuff out there. Some of us keep it to ourselves, and think, everybody thinks we're crazy, so I'm not going to post any of this. I encourage them to post it on my group. So, it's people can see it. This is a amazing thing going on out there in the woods. It needs to be brought attention to because, a normal person would walk out there and be, somebody hiking down through the woods and, run across one. What would they do? They need to know that they're out there in the woods.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In
And
fact, that area where we're at, I found out about 15, 20 years ago, 5 hikers went missing in the area that I'm researching. And they eventually found them 5 years later dead, but they were all in this one area. Even the hunters won't even go in that area. They're scared to death of that area. And I went down in there. I took a group down in there.
that's in
And
Oklahoma City?
no, that's not in Oklahoma City. That's an ongoing investigation. I don't want a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
The group I took out there actually contaminated the area. They didn't know what they were doing. They took a plaster cast of a footprint out there and left the plaster out there, and the Squatch abandoned the area. It took me about 6 months to track them back down in a different area 3 miles away. An area I was going to go to anyways because it looked like a good area. But that's where I found them later on down the road. But actually, that same area, one of my colleagues actually had a run-in with it. He was walking through there, and I'd asked him to go. I sent him a aerial of where this structure was. He'd show me a structure. And I said, hey, I have that same structure out in my area. And he lived real close to the place, about 30 minutes away. I live an hour away, so it's not really, I don't go out there very often. It's a long travel time, and I like to go out right at dawn. So I get best sightings is at dusk and at dawn. They're either coming out for the night or they're coming in for the night.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see them coming, leaving right about dusk. They'll be coming out wherever they're hiding at. Then you'll be seeing them come back in. But he was actually walking down there. I inadvertently sent him to that area where the hikers went missing. I thought that was the area. I didn't have a really good memory of where it was at. Actually, after I started looking at it, it was further on down, further into the woods. He was closer to the road. But he was walking along, and he said he started smelling musty skunk smell. And he said, man, somebody must have run over a skunk. Well, as he's walking further, closer and closer, the smell got way stronger. And he said he didn't realize it at the time, but it just went dead silent out there. No birds, nothing. And he said that he gets up to this one area, and he showed me the area. And that's where we did our investigations, and they had completely abandoned the area. But he had it huffed at him, and it sounded like a baseball bat hitting this tree. It just hit the tree, and he said he just stopped. And he said, I always thought to myself, if I ever had an encounter like that, I'd investigate it further. He said, no, my blood turned to ice. I turned around and I started walking away. He said, I didn't look back. And he said, the whole time it sounded like I was beating two sticks together. He said, about the time he got about 60 yards away, it stopped. But it didn't stop until he got a distance away.
Kind of a warning.
But he told me, he said he'll never go back in that area alone again.
Rick,
I can't say I blame him. If I had that kind of interaction, I probably wouldn't have gone back out there.
Yeah.
In fact, the area I went, the area that Stitchcomb, where those photos are from, I actually got chased out of there. Yeah, I wouldn't go back there for 2 years. It scared me so bad. And then I had a member of the group go out there with me, and I had to know what chased me out of there. So then I started going by myself, all the time. It didn't scare me anymore, whatever it was. I think I found a baby footprint, and it was just the oddest looking footprint. It wasn't like any of the Squatch footprints I'd ever seen before. But I seen that. I took a picture of it, and I started going further in the woods. I got all excited, and I wanted to see if I could find anything else. And I think I was getting a little too close to the juvenile, and it just started hearing a lot of loud sounds coming. It started disorienting me, and all I could think of was just get out of here, get away from it. And I got lost in there actually at first, and I'd go one way, and it's like, no, something was like telling, pushing me to go the other way. And I don't know if they could send signals or what, I really don't believe in that kind of stuff, but it's literally, I was lost. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know, I lost track of where I came in at, and it was just pushing me right back out that way. But I knew I really did feel like it did not want me there. I'd come up on its child, and it was just, protecting its kid.
Yeah.
I think if I kept going towards it, I probably wouldn't be here now.
That's very possible. Very, very possible. Rick, you got anything else, buddy?
Yeah, I was going to ask Rick. And I like to ask everybody this at the end of the programs. For just a layman that goes into the woods that's never had any interactions with these things, and they run up on one, what is your suggestion as a researcher that they do as far as their interaction with things?
Well, for one thing, don't turn your back on it, because they're ambush predators. They will come up on you. That it's nothing for them to come up and sneak up behind you and grab you. Most of the time, they just like to stay away from you. They don't really want human interaction. They stay their distance. Then, if you try to come near them, they start throwing stuff at you, which I actually had happen one time.
Right, I have to.
And a lot of things is don't get loud, don't yell at it. That irritates them. Speak in a calm, soothing voice. Try to keep them calm as much as possible. Don't try to make eye contact with them. They kind of see that as some of them don't see it as a threat, but they see it as a aggression. Like some dogs, they'll see if you sit there and stare at them in the eyes, they'll see it as an aggressive move and they'll attack you. Now, my best thing is, try to keep calm and just keep aware of your surroundings. Make sure nothing, because usually if you see one, there's 3 or 4 more around there, and the one is distracting you while the others are coming around behind you and surrounding you. So just keep aware of your surroundings. If you can, just back up, just keep your eyes on them, make sure they're not trying to follow you. Just keep really calm. Don't try to run, that's about all I can say, just you want to be really calm around them. And if you see them start swaying, that's a sign that they're getting annoyed and getting irritated with you.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, buddy. We're coming up on the hour. Ricki, I appreciate it, buddy. Me and you've been talking for a while about getting you on, and I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. This is pretty fun here. Look forward to seeing you posting more stuff in the group. I
Yeah.
always look forward to seeing all the researchers posting stuff. I just don't like to see my own stuff. I've already seen it,
Mm-hmm.
been there, seen it, have the jacket for it. I like to see other researcher stuff. It's fascinating. Other states are having the same, structures, footprints, seeing the same things, hearing same stuff, walking through the woods, and I like to hear all about all that, going on out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good deal, buddy. Again, thanks for coming on, and keep me posted on everything. And have to have you back on sometime. Come back on. You find some more stuff. We'll talk about it.
Will do. I appreciate you having me tonight.
Okay. Yeah. Not a
Yeah,
problem,
Rick,
buddy.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Rick.
Have a good night, Ricki.
Y'all too.
All right, Rick. It's me and you. We're still on, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, I've been telling you about Mr. Ricki Burrell. He's got some good stuff. He's got a good thing going on out there in
Yeah, he's
Oklahoma.
really got some good evidence there.
I'm glad he was able to come on, and I really appreciate that. You got anything before we say farewell?
I was hoping Todd would have stopped by and told you a little about some of the stuff that Joe and his dad had discussed with him yesterday after I left. But I really am. I'm really looking forward to going down Sunday, going over that. Like I say, I'm gonna take my cameras with me. I'll take pictures. Get anything good and solid, I'll send them to you.
Okay. All right, good deal. And like we said to everybody, we got our website up and going now. So anybody out there with any encounters that they'd like to share, head on over to our website, mannimalresearch.com, and you can share it there. Also, we've been talking about doing some expeditions, to offering some to the public, some guided expeditions into some of our research areas to help generate some funding for our group so we can further our research. We have that. We have it on our website now, where you can go on and book your adventure. We're excited about that. Hoping to get some people signed up, and guys, spread the word if you don't mind. Tell everybody about us, and send us those encounters. And if nothing else, Ricki, I guess we'll say goodnight, buddy.
All right, man. We'll catch you later.
All right, buddy. Y'all be good to each
Good
other.
night,
Be safe
everybody.
out there.